ॐ श्री परमात्मने नमः। अथ श्रीमद्भगवद्गीता अथ चतुर्थोऽध्यायः। In my last video, I completed explaining the chapter 3 of Bhagavad Gita. The summary of chapter 3 is Bhagavan Krishna explained in detail about Karma Yoga in the chapter 3 of Bhagavad Gita. Chapter 3 started with a question of Arjuna. He asked Lord Krishna, which one is better for me? That is it action or yoga, that is knowledge, jnana? And Lord Krishna said, one has to perform the action without being attached to the action. That is the supreme thing. But if a person cannot do that, let him perform his daily duties or let him perform his duty attached to action. At least that way he should be active. Being actionless is not karma yoga. And if the prakriti will not allow us to be inactive, the gunas of the prakriti will impel us to perform action. So anyway, one has to do action. If a person's mind is not matured, then let him perform the action according to his mentality. But if we accept the result, then he has to perform a sacrifice. And he explained the wheel of action. And he also said that a person who is wise, he should not unsettle the mind of the person who is ignorant and force him this knowledge. And he gave himself as an example and he said, I do not have anything to attain in this world, but still I work ceaselessly just to set example for the others to follow. Like that, a person who is wise should set an example for the others to follow. And explaining all that, he said, one should do their own dharma, swadharma. One should not do paradharma. Even if a person do swadharma and die, that is better than doing another's others' duty with fear. And at this juncture, Arjuna asked Lord Krishna, by what nature or what impels one to do sin? And Bhagavan Krishna said, it is the desires and the anger, which are the product of the Rajoguna that impels a person to do action. And these desires are in the mind, intellect, and in the senses. The attraction and repulsion for an object is not in the object, but they are in the senses. And one has to control the lower nature by the higher nature. That is, one has to control the mind by the intellect and the intellect by the knowledge of the self. And in the last verse, verse of the chapter 3, he said, one has to control the self by the self, restrain the self by the self. And he explains about the Jnana Yoga, that is the Jnana knowledge in this chapter. That is chapter 4 of Bhagavad Gita. And this chapter is known as Jnana Karma Sannyasa Yoga. And it is also said as Jnana Yoga also. And you can say that Bhagavad Gita itself is an abridged form of Brahma Vidya. And the Guru of Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavan Krishna, is not a sannyasi. And Arjuna also was not a sannyasi. And the place where it is first taught, it is not an ashrama. It was a war field. So many people are dying there, and people, some are winning, some are losing. That war field, it was taught in that war field. Because Lord Bhagavan Krishna, he is a Vairagi. He is a Vairagi, a Vedanti, and of a person of sportive nature. It was this Krishna who played Rasa Leela with the Gopikas. It was this Krishna who taught Bhagavad Gita, and it was this Krishna who taught Uddhav Gita to Uddhava. So his mind was so pure, the impurities of the external world did not affect him. He was so pure in his mind, and he was able to advise this Brahma Vidya, this profound teaching to Arjuna. Now let us see what Bhagavan Krishna say in this chapter 4 of Bhagavad Gita. श्रीभगवानुवाच इमं विवस्वते योगं प्रोक्तवानहमव्ययम् विवस्वान्मनवे प्राह मनोरीक्ष्वाकवे भवेत्. Bhagavan Krishna is telling that I taught this yoga. This is an imperishable knowledge. This imperishable knowledge, that is this imperishable yoga, I taught this to Vivaswan. Vivaswan is the sun god, and by that time it would have been that beginning of creation, and Lord Krishna says that I taught this knowledge to Vivaswan. He is the sun god, and Vivaswan taught this knowledge to Manu. Manu was the leader of the human race itself. At that time, the population was not that much. So this would have happened in the Krita Yuga or Satya Yuga, that first Yuga. It was Vivaswan, that is the sun god, ruled the entire universe then. Then sun god, that is Vivaswan, he taught this knowledge to Manu, and Manu taught this knowledge to Ikshvaku. Ikshvaku was a very noble king, and he was the ancestor of Bhagavan Sri Ram. And his that Surya Vamsha, they are all of Surya Vamsha. King Dasharatha, King Raghu, Ikshvaku, they all are the Surya Vamsha. So he was the ancestor of Bhagavan Sri Ram. Ikshvaku was the ancestor of Bhagavan Sri Ram. And Lord Krishna is telling that I taught this knowledge first to Vivaswan, and then Vivaswan taught this knowledge to Manu, and Manu to Ikshvaku. So all this happened during the Krita Yuga, or the next Yuga, the Treta Yuga. But Bhagavad Gita is happening in Dwapara Yuga. So again also Bhagavan Krishna says, Yevam parampara praptam imam rajarshayo viduhu sakale neha mahata yogo nashta parantapa. Lord Krishna is telling this knowledge, this imperishable knowledge, it came generation after generation. Just like it came through the Surya Vamsha, like that. Generation after generation they came. And the rishis, the king who were also rishis, the Raja rishis, they are just like sage Vishwamitra or sage Janaka Maharaj. Those kings, they learned this imperishable knowledge. Just because only then they can rule their nation perfectly and with wisdom in the dharmic way. So many kings, they learned this knowledge, and this knowledge came generation after generation, parampara prapta. Generation after generation it came, and this knowledge is very sacred, but in the middle this knowledge was lost. It was lost, and Bhagavan Krishna is telling this in Dwapara Yuga. One must understand it. Dwapara Yuga, in that time itself, this knowledge was lost. And Bhagavan Krishna is again teaching this knowledge, the same knowledge, the same thing to Arjuna. In the next verse, Bhagavan Krishna says, "Sa yevayam maya tedhya yoga prokta puratanah bhaktosi me sakha cheti rahasyam heduduttamam." Bhagavan Krishna is telling this knowledge that was lost some time back, that same imperishable knowledge of the self, that same knowledge which is very secret, which is very pure and best, that same knowledge I am teaching to you, Arjuna. And today I am teaching that same knowledge to you that is so ancient and pure. That knowledge I am teaching to you, Arjuna. You know why, Arjuna, I am teaching this knowledge to you? Because you are so devoted to me. And not only that, you are my best friend, Sakha, best friend. That is the advantage of a friend. You can just open up your mind to your friend, They will not criticize. A good friend will not criticize, or they will not slander you, they will not speak ill of you, but at the same time they will correct you if you go wrong in any way. Some people even considered Bhagavan as a friend, or even when they are even the close relatives. If we consider them as friend, then we can open up our mind to them. That's the power of friendship, and that's the unique power and that great thing of that relationship called friend. So Bhagavan Krishna is telling, he is telling this vidya to you, Arjuna, because you are my friend and you are so devoted to me. So this knowledge is very ancient and pure and imperishable knowledge. And in a way, we all are virtuous to receive this knowledge through Bhagavad Gita. This knowledge is so ancient and it is there from the beginning of the creation. And we are able to receive this knowledge because of Bhagavan Krishna and because of this Bhagavad Gita. So we must all thank to our gurus, the Guru Parampara, the Veda Vyasa who wrote this, and Bhagavan Krishna who said this. So hearing all this, Arjuna had a genuine doubt in his mind. Like all of us, even when we first read Bhagavad Gita, we all have this doubt. So he asked Krishna, Arjuna uvacha aparam bhavato janma paranjanma vivasvatah kathametad vijaniyam tvamadau proktavaniti. Arjuna is asking Krishna, Krishna, you said that you taught this knowledge to Vivaswan, the sun god. The birth of sun god that happened in the beginning of the creation, maybe in the Krita Yuga, or it's otherwise said as the Sati Yuga. That is the first Yuga this happened. But now it is Dwapar Yuga. So many years have passed after that, and you are born in this generation. We all know about your birth. So how am I to understand this, Krishna? How am I to understand this? You're telling that you taught this to Vivaswan. How am I to understand this? And Bhagavan Krishna asks in a very humble way. And Bhagavan Krishna says, Shri Bhagavanuvacha Bahuni me vyatitani Janmani tava charjuna Tanyaham veda sarvani Natvam vetta parantapa. Bhagavan Krishna is telling that Bahuni Janmani. Bahuni Janmani means many births have passed for me as well as for you, Arjuna. Many births have passed. Tanyaham Veta Sarvani. I remember or I know about all that. Natvam Veta Parantaba. Parantaba means the killer of the enemies. But you do not know all this, Arjuna. Bhagavan Krishna is telling. And it is the same for all of us. We all have taken many, many, many births. We do not remember it. And that's the reason why we are existing now in this birth also, because of the prarabdha karmas we are born by, because of that we are born now. But we do not remember anything. It's very hard for us to remember even the contact number nowadays. Then what to tell about the Purva Janma? It's because we are existing ourselves as well as Arjuna. We are all conscious and existing in our body and mind. So we are conscious only of that limited period of time, that finite period of time, from the birth of our body, this body, to the end of this body. And we think that only this, that's all, over. But Bhagavan Krishna, he is existing in that self. He is that existence itself. That shift in consciousness, he always have that shift in consciousness. He is existing in the self. He is Parabrahman. And so he remember and he know about all the births of himself as well as for others also, as well as the birth of others also. And so he's telling, I remember everything, I know everything, Arjuna, but you do not know it. Ajopi san avyayatma bhutanamishwaropi san prakritim swamadhisthaya sambhavamyatma mayaya. Aja, I am unborn. Avyayatma, I am that imperishable one. Bhutanam Ishvara, I am the Ishvara, Lord of the Bhutas, but still, Prakritim Swam Adhishtaya, I govern my nature, I control my nature, and Sambhavami, I come into being Atma Mayaya, using my own Maya. I come into being using my own Maya and controlling my nature, that is my Prakriti. The difference between Bhagavan and we ordinary human beings is Bhagavan rules over Maya, but we are carried away by that Maya. We are carried away by Prakriti. Just imagine this example. When we see a very beautiful scenery or a very beautiful park or anything, we are carried away by that beauty, isn't it? We just emerge in that beauty and we are carried away by it. Whatever happens to us, we do not realize. We are just carried away by that beauty. But if it is Lord Krishna, he will view that, he will see that, but at the same time, he will not be carried away by that beauty. He knows that it is all the play of the gunas of the Prakriti, and it is because of the Maya, and he remain in his self, and at the same time, he enjoy the Prakriti also. So that's his unique nature. So he says that I am born by controlling my Maya, by controlling the Prakriti, the nature, the three gunas, and by using my own Maya, I have come into being. The next two verses are very famous. They were made famous by the popular serial of the last century. I think it came around the later 80s of the last century. And the serial Mahabharata, it made these two verses very famous by the title song of this two verses. We all must thank Mahendra Kapoorji for singing these two verses in his majestic voice, and the B.R. Chopra ji also, because many people know of Mahabharata because of him, and Ramnath Sagar ji because of him. Many people know of Ramayana. So these two verses are very famous, and if I chant it, you will also realize, you will also feel the same way. यदा यदा हि धर्मस्य ग्लानिर्भवति भारत अभ्युत्थानमधर्मस्य तदात्मानं सृजाम्यहम् परित्राणाय साधूनां विनाशाय च दुष्कृतां धर्म संस्थापनार्थाय Sambhavami yuge yuge. Remember it, isn't it? Perhaps many people know the meaning of these two verses also. Yada yada hi dharmasya. Whenever dharma, glani, when decline, whenever dharma decline, and abhyudhana means rise. What will rise? Adharma. When adharma rises, srijamyaham, I am born there, I manifest there. So not only when dharma decline, when adharma rises, Bhagavan will be born again. He will manifest again to maintain the equilibrium of dharma and adharma. So in any form, in any place, he will be manifest again to maintain that balance between dharma and adharma. Why is dharma given so much of importance? Dharma holds and adharma separates. Only when everything is in that closed form, then only one can realize the underlying unity in all of it. If the adharma is ruling, then everything will be separate, everyone will be of selfish nature, then we cannot understand that underlying unity behind this creation. And that's why dharma is given so much of importance. Just take this example. If the Kauravas have maintained dharma, then Pandavas would have ruled the Hastinapura without any war. Then they all would have been together. Who can win them when they are such a great power? Because of adharma, they went for war. All of them died. Because Pandavas, they practiced dharma. They were holding dharma, and that's why Lord Krishna protected them. It is not because of Arjuna or because of the Pandavas he helped the Pandavas. One and only because they were holding dharma all the time, and because of that Bhagavan Krishna helped them. So dharma is very important in this creation. Only then one can understand the unity behind it, or otherwise the entire creation will perish. And so just to maintain that equilibrium, whenever needed, Bhagavan manifests. And this verse, Bhagavan says his avatara lakshya. This is the main purpose of Bhagavan, for Bhagavan to take avatar. All of us, we take birth to exhaust our karmas. It may be either positive karmas, punya, or negative karmas, papa. We take birth to exhaust our karmas, but Bhagavan, he takes birth he manifests to maintain this balance between dharma and adharma. And the next verse also says, Paritranaya sadhunam, to protect the people who are good. Vinashaya cha dushkritam, to destroy the people who are wicked. dharma samsthapanarthaya, to re-establish dharma, sambhavami, I'll be born or I manifest, yuge yuge, from time to time. Here, yuge yuge means it is not, it should not be taken as for one yuga, one avatar like that. If that was the case, then there will be only one or two avatars. What it implies it from time to time, whenever it declines, there Bhagavan will manifest. And not only that, when a person will follow dharma, to protect that person, he will manifest in any form, even now, even in this Kali Yuga. We may not realize it. These are all very famous avatars like Bhagavan Sri Ram or Bhagavan Krishna, Narasimha Avatara, Vamana Avatara. They are very universally famous avatars. By that avatar, a large number of adharmic people will be destroyed and all that. It is universally famous avatar. But when we hold on dharma, when we follow dharma, Bhagavan will manifest in one form or other to help even in this yuga. He may come to us as a stranger, or he may come to us as a person to help us. He will impel any one person to go and help a person who follow dharma. So it's happening even today. There are many incidents we can recollect. And sadhuna also means, does not mean the sannyasis alone, the people who are good, the people who follow dharma. They can be in any profession like a doctor or an engineer or a businessman, anyone, but they should not use their profession as a lucrative business. Otherwise, Bhagavan will help in one form or other. Maybe we do not know or we may not realize it. Because establishing dharma is protecting this creation. And he explains that in this verse. Janma karma cha me divyam yevam yo veti tattvataha tyaktva deham punarjanma naiti mameti sorjuna. Lord Krishna is telling, a person who know about the divinity of my birth, a person who know about my birth, the divinity behind it, and the person who know the principles of my birth, the tattva behind it, and a person who know about my teaching, that person Tyaktva deham, that is ignoring his body, that is he attains Jivan Mukta and he attained me. And we all have take birth due to our karmas. And so we have the body fit to do that karma. All our bodies are made of this five elements, and its a combination is according to our prarabdha karmas. The five elements have joined and made our body. But the body, the form of Bhagavan, is not made of elements. It is not made of that prakriti, and so it is said as aprakrita. And if the form of Bhagavan is the condensed form of that pure consciousness. That's why we say Chaitanya Rupa, that condensed form of that supreme consciousness, the condensed form of intelligence. So when Bhagavan decides that I want to leave this form, immediately that form will merge with that merge with Brahman, and he will dissolve that form. So all our bodies are made up of five elements, and the body of Bhagavan is a pure consciousness, that is Chaitanya Rupa. And a person who understands about his birth and his tattva, he is not born again. He attains Jivan Mukti. Vitaraga bhaya krodhaha manmaya mamupashritaha bahavo jnana tapasa Pudamadbhavamagataha Vita Raga Bhaya Krodha. Vita means free. Free of attachment. When we have attachment and desires, automatically we will have a fear that something else will come as an obstacle for our desire. So we will have a fear. And when we have fear, automatically we have anger. Something will happen to our desire. So anger is natural. So a person free of attachment, fear, and anger, manmaya, thinking about me, mam upashrita, depending on me, always absorbed in me, taking refuge in me. Jnana tapasa bhuda, he is purified by the knowledge, purified by the jnana agni. Jnana tapasa bhuda means his mind is purified by knowledge. When a person's mind is purified by knowledge, then he will attain me. And many people have attained like this. Many people have attained like this, Bhagavan Krishna is telling. Bhagavan says that jnana purifies the mind. Because now we think that the happiness and bliss and everything is only with the sense objects. So we go after it. A person, when he attains complete jnana and realizes his self, then he will understand that the bliss, happiness, everything, he is that. It is his own nature itself. And all the time, the external objects are acting only to kindle that self in him, that feeling of bliss in him. When a jnani realizes that he is that bliss itself, his nature is bliss itself, then he will not depend on the external object, and he always based on that self itself. That's why it is said when a person attains knowledge, it purifies the mind. It purifies the mind means it will have no desires, external desires, and it will be always established. He will be always established in that self. So many people leaving the attachment or desires or bhaya and anger, fear and anger, thinking about me, absorbed in me, taking refuge in me, many people have attained me. Bhagavan Krishna is telling in this 10th verse of chapter 4 of Bhagavad Gita, and he says, Ye yatha mam prapatyante tam stataiva bhajamyaham mama vartmanu vartante manushya partha sarvachaha. Bhagavan Krishna is telling, Yatha mam prapatyanti. When a person, in whatever way he approach me, bhajamyaha means I reward them. For whatever reason they come to me, I immediately grant them that desire. Some people come to me, Bhagavan Krishna is telling, some people come to me for satisfying their worldly desires. Immediately I reward them. Some people come to me for jnana, to attaining knowledge. I will give them. Some people come to me for liberation. I give them. So whatever way they approach me, I will immediately grant them. I will immediately satisfy all their desires. What it means is, the desires in the form of impressions, they are in our mind. They are in our subconscious mind or in the intellect or somewhere in us. Because they are the result of our prarabdha karmas. They are the result of our previous karmas that we have taken birth according to it. So all that those desires are in our mind and they are in us. They are not with Bhagavan Krishna. He is that power who gives us his power to satisfy our desire. Without that power, our desires also will not be satisfied. So he has the power to satisfy our desires, but he doesn't give us desire. He is not the person who gives us the karma. I do not know how this wrong thought entered all our mind from the very young age itself. Many people think that Bhagavan is the distributor of karmas and he give good karmas for the people who do puja for him, and he selects some people who do not do puja for him and give them bad karmas. No, all the desires and karmas, they are with us, but they themselves, they do not have the power to manifest that desire. Bhagavan Krishna gave that power. Bhagavan, in the form of any name or form, he gives us the power to satisfy our desires. In this way, if you understand, it will be more easy, because the self, Bhagavan is that self, and the reflection of the self is the jiva. And the jiva is so closely attached with the intellect and mind. They are the places where the desires are there. So they hide the jiva. These impressions alone, they do not have any power. They are inert. The jiva, it gives power for the desires to take form, and by that way they are satisfied. So if we have desires alone, then it will not take the form and we will not be satisfied by it. But when Bhagavan, in the form of a jiva, when it gives power to that desire, then that desires will take birth, will manifest, and we will be satisfied by it. So that's what Lord Krishna is telling. In whatever way they approach me, I will immediately satisfy their desires. So understanding Bhagavan in a gross form, up to a certain level only we can understand it. But we have to understand, when we go deep, we will realize that beyond this form, that is that true nature of the Bhagavan. So that's what Lord Krishna is saying in this verse. And he also says, Mama Vartamanu Anuvartande Manishyaha. The people, they follow my path. Sarvashaha, always they follow my path to satisfy to get their desires satisfied. And for what? We all have one desire or other. Even attaining liberation is a desire, isn't it? So we all approach Bhagavan for one desire or other. So we all follow his path. काङ्क्षन्तः कर्मणां सिद्धिं यजन्त इह देवताः क्षिप्रं हि मानुषे लोके सिद्धिर्भवति कर्मजा. Kankshanta means we have that inner longing for some desires, worldly desires, mostly, probably it will be worldly desires. So we have that inner longing for that desire and we want it to happen. So what we should do for the worldly desire, one must do sacrifice for the God. And that's what very clearly explained in the chapter 3, that wheel of action Bhagavan Krishna explained. So they have to do sacrifice to the God and get their desires satisfied. Bhagavan Krishna says it is very easy for the worldly desire to be satisfied. Very easy. But jnana, it's very difficult to attain, because one must have that liking for jnana. Even if we have that liking for jnana, the sources will not be that easy. Even when we attain jnana, that jnana is different from wisdom. Jnana is knowledge and wisdom is realization. Even when we have that knowledge, we will not be able to realize it. We will have many obstacles in our prarabdha karmas. So, attaining the worldly desires is very easy when compared to jnana, attaining knowledge and wisdom. This Bhagavan Krishna says, and from the next verse he is explaining about the Varna and caste. That I will continue in my next video. For now, I take a break. यत्र योगेश्वरः कृष्णः यत्र पार्थो धनुर्धरः तत्र श्रीर्विजयो भूति ध्रुवानीतिर्मतिर्मम. ॐ श्रीकृष्णार्पणमस्तु.